Hello, everyone, and welcome to the January 2022 Iowa chapter and Cedar Rapids Railfan slideshow. I'm here with Russell Lyon today. This is our first program of the new year, even though we're actually sitting here in December of 2021 and making this recording. And I'm very excited. Russ has some excellent photography to share with us today. We do have a little bit of news, I suppose, to share as the Canadian Pacific and Kansas City Southern merger has in fact been consummated, and they're just waiting for regulatory approval to go ahead and start integrating the railroads. But that literally just happened in this past week. So I know, Russ, you're very excited about that. Why don't you tell us a few words about your program before we dive in?
I'm going to show you some photographs from Iowa here, and also some of my favorite photographs from over the years from traveling from different parts of the country. And I also enjoy photographing railroad signal systems, as railroad signals used to kind of show, or railroads used to have specific signals, and you used to be able to tell what railroad it was by looking at their signal system.
Yeah. So, Russ, I have your first slide up. We're in Clarence here, it looks like, with a westbound. Why don't you take it away here?
We're going to start off here in Clarence, Iowa, on the former CNW main. This is a very photogenic spot here. Back in the day, used to say Land O'Lakes on the side, and now it's a Purina checkerboard. This was shot last July, as we mentioned, in Clarence, Iowa. Next photograph is on the same railroad, just east of Belle Plaine. This is an eastbound coal train going by a small photogenic farm. I bet that house could talk. It could tell a lot of stories, and I do know that that house is in a couple Chicago Northwestern books.
Yeah, are we just outside of Watkins there?
Just between Belle Plaine and Luzerne, just about halfway.
Okay.
Next photograph is a westbound bird running northwestern style, left-handed, just east of Wheatland. You can also see a headlight behind him. That train ran around there at the crossovers at Calamus. And I believe this train is going to cross the Wapsipinicon River.
That's right.
Next slide, we're on the Boone Subdivision, just west Carroll, Iowa. Kind of bow and arrow country out here. This was taken last fall. This was a Boone to roughly Denison local, 270 M's for power. Kind of a nice fall scene with the yellow beans.
The two coal hoppers on the head end are just kind of a bizarre look to it.
Yeah, those cars were picked up at Vail, and I'm assuming those were bad orders and must have had a handbrake issue or something. I bet one of them was kept there to hold the other one down. So a lot of times when they have issues, they got to leave another car with it so they have proper braking power. Next picture is taken off the Highway 30 bridge at Malone, Iowa. Both trains were moving. I think the eastbound on 2-track was creeping along, but the eastbound on 1, he was rolling, and made for a pretty interesting image here. Both trains have those experimental wedge stacks on the head end, which I believe are obsolete now. I don't think it worked out.
No, I don't think they use them at all anymore. Those aerodynamic wedges that had on the head car.
Yeah. This was a once in a lifetime photograph. My friend called me and told me that the E units were in town, and they were dropped off at Beverly, I believe, by mistake. So I made a quick trip up to Cedar Rapids, and indeed, they put them on the Uptown local. And I achieved this image coming through the Cedar River Bridge. Obviously, he just made a pickup from North Yard and tractors off the Iowa Northern. And there was quite a crowd at the west end of this bridge for this move.
Yes, I believe this was a very well documented move when the switch crew decided they were going to take the E units downtown. Yes.
And here they are coming off the bridge, and unfortunately, they stalled going up the hill there just north of Wilson Avenue. They had to cut off and they went into Beverly Light, but it was still a great show. Here's a image of something you'd more likely see today coming across this bridge. I think that's an ex-Southern Pacific Jeep 60.
Yeah, and you've got the 1898 with the fractured Herald up there on the top.
Yeah. Since they severed that other track now and they moved the gate up forward, you can legally stand right up there against the gate and zoom right into the bridge. So it actually makes a pretty decent shot now.
Yeah.
Over on the Oskaloosa sub, this is the LNM 034 job at Searsboro, heading south. Classic old M & St. L track agent jointed rail and moving right along about 30 miles an hour. He's got a lumber car on the head end for lumber plant Oskaloosa, which they go out the old Peoria main there a couple miles. This is an eastbound stack train back up on the Clinton sub, Bertram. Vegetation has really taken over the last few years, but still a pretty decent eastbound shot in the morning, especially if they're on Main 1.
Yeah, the cover photo that we've got for Cedar Rapids Rail fans is actually a pair of C&W C44s on this same curve, but you can see how much 25 years of vegetation has impacted this location. Yes.
Now we're up on the former Rock Island Spine line, today's UP line at Manly, Iowa, which is just north of Mason City. And this is where the Iowa Northern branches off, which is the track in the foreground. We're going to go down to Mount Pleasant on the BNSF Ottumwa sub. Number 6 rolling into the depot here. Pretty close on time. Loading off a one track today. Note the old Burlington route sign there on the east side of the depot. Kind of a nod to the past.
Yeah, I know the agent down there takes pretty good care of that place.
He does. Yes, he does. Down at Burlington on the Ottumwa sub, a couple NS Heritage units snaking through downtown Burlington.
2-for-1 deal on that shot.
Yeah. On the Krandik at Coralville, Iowa Northern Hawkeye Express running for a special organization going by the Iowa Power River Restaurant. Made for kind of a unusual photograph.
Yeah, I wonder how long it had been since they'd run passenger coaches down through Coralville before that.
Yeah. Especially loaded with people too. It was actually a loaded run.
Yeah. Pretty rare move.
Here's the Iowa Northern leaving the former Milwaukee yard. I believe this is ex-Milwaukee Bridge here too, and heading back north towards Waterloo area. pretty unusual to catch them in daylight too. So I was pretty excited to catch this train.
Yeah, this is another one like we were talking about that you get them in the summer, you can get them in daylight sometimes running back to Waterloo.
Mm-hmm. And due to the rarity of it, I chased it up to Vinton and always wanted to get a good, well lit shot here at Vinton Junction and shot him with a zoom and then a regular 35 millimeter shot here. And it was in October, and very rarely do you ever get a good westbound lit shot here at Vinton.
Yeah.
Iowa Northern again up at Lyon. It's railroad days up there. You can tell by all the people up on the yard tower there enjoying the train. Another Iowa short line, the Iowa River Railroad. Last June, my friend Andy and I went up and chased them. And in the morning, you can get some real good nose light going north out of there. Had the Jeep 30 leading. Very, very scenic railroad and an easy chase.
Yeah, this is when you drive by 20 on by Ackley on US 20 now, you can see right where they park their power if you're ever going west of Waterloo out there.
Yeah, and I think they most generally run 5 days a week, first thing in the morning, going north up to Ackley and then back.
Right.
Another interesting Iowa short line is the former Appanoose County. I believe it's called the Iowa Southern Railroad today. And you just really never know where they're going to run. So when you go down there, it's just kind of pot luck. But I happened to catch him here last September, going by the distance signal to the former Milwaukee Diamond just south of Moravia.
Yes, fixed aspect distance signal.
Yep. One of the very last ones in this part of the country that I know of anyway.
Yeah.
Burlington Junction Railway, they have one customer left at West Burlington, and I believe it's former Champion spark plug plant. And once in a while they get a car up there and they usually just leave the locomotive with it. So I thought that was kind of a interesting shot. So I got a picture of it. And of course the Kranich down at Hills.
Stutzman's has kept that part of the line alive for a lot of years down there.
Yeah, that's the only customer south of Iowa City that I'm aware of.
Yep. But it's not unheard of to go down there and find 9-10 cars down there at Stutzman's.
Yeah, they get a lot of seasonal material in.
Yep.
Iowa Traction Railway up in Mason City area. Always a classic railroad to see and kind of a blast from the past. And I believe this is the last electrified freight railroad in the country.
Yep. Is he's pulling the interchange here with the CP or DM&E?
I believe this is coming out of grain processing. This is looking west. That's the road that goes out towards Clear Lake and Emory.
Oh, okay. All right. I know where you're at now. Yes.
Got a ride. I was up photographing one day, and crew asked if I wanted to ride with them over to Savannah and back, and I said sure. And we had to wait there at West Savannah for an eastbound to go by, and thought this made a pretty decent shot. Good memory.
Very HUCC looking train you've got with the meat there.
Yeah. Down at Cotter, Iowa, in the former Golden State, going through the original Rock Island signals. these type of signals were exclusively used between Letts and Eldon and beyond.
Yep.
Westbound coming off the bridge at Sebula.
Looks like the local heading for Clinton.
Yep.
And there are those Milwaukee Road searchlights.
Yeah. This is a eastbound IC&E train just west of Washington, Iowa. I don't remember the train symbol, if it was a KCSP at this time, but whatever the symbol was, it was one of the hottest trains on the railroad. I remember it always ran in the morning.
Solid IC&E power also.
Yeah, I know we got kind of tired of IC&E power there, standard 3 SD40s, but I know we all wish we had it back now.
Yeah.
Here's the 6403, the city of Washington, going by the city of Washington water tower here in Washington, of course.
Nice catch. Always got to include those hometown shots.
Yes. And they decided to move a building one day across the tracks, and it was quite the ordeal. And they had to wait on this southbound train to go by. And I thought this made a pretty cool photograph, not a shot you get every day here in Washington, Iowa.
Yeah.
They moved this building roughly maybe up to a half a mile, and it's restored today in kind of a museum.
Wow. Is this this must have been post CP purchase of the IC&E? I see that CP rail SD40 there in the back, second out.
Yeah, they're starting to make their appearance here. It was kind of a neat era there when CP started out. They sent a lot of cool power down here, including this STL and HSD 40. This is out at Grace Hill, west of Washington, about 7-8 miles. This is a loaded grain train.
Mm-hmm.
Still has the jointed rail too, which has all been replaced since. On the Canadian Pacific, this is milepost 289 at Farson, Iowa. The old elevator still stands, and every year it looks a little bit more rough. But in the summertime, if you can get a southbound or westbound in the evening, it makes a real nice evening shot because it says Farson on the north side of the elevator.
Yeah, looks like you got a Fruitland coal train there with it.
I don't honestly remember what it was. It could be, or it might have been a sand train too. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to get a train right in that 1 or 2 hour slot in the evening, but it does happen.
Right.
Just west of Washington at milepost 259, a 474 last fall, a little tree color in the background, and kind of a neat bridge. It's a railroad bridge over a highway bridge over a creek. Foster Bridges south of Ottumwa near Moravia, Iowa. This is, I believe it was train 170. We're into the CP days here.
Yeah, it looks like you've got one of their SD30 Ecos there.
Yeah.
Second out, one of the rebuilds.
Yeah, it was when they first came out.
Mm-hmm.
Ragbri, when they came to Washington, I don't think they got a very good night's sleep. I remember there were several trains during the night here, and I don't know if they didn't notice the railroad, if there was only a place to camp out, but I thought this made kind of a neat image.
Yeah.
This is just west of Farson, Iowa, on the CP Ottumwa sub. A ballast train last April, going by the old telegraph poles. A few of them still stand out that way.
Got some rebuilt SC60s there.
Yeah.
Looks like they caught the section foreman in the photo also.
Yeah, we were down there waiting to get the track, and I think they told us we are going to be there to C3 before we could get the track, so I just walked down there to get a good photograph while I was waiting. So
very nice.
I just went out east of town here in Washington to catch this train, and believe it or not, there happened to be a crop duster out spraying, and very good timing on my part, and worked out pretty good. This is train, I believe, 474 here a couple summers ago, just east of Washington. The Canadian Pacific business train has made it down here at least once operational. This is him going back empty in the siding at Cotter.
Yeah. He doesn't have the rebuild or the repainted leader with him this time.
Yeah. Another southbound train just east of Washington here. Looks like the crops are doing pretty good this year. It's always a good place to shoot just on the east side of Washington.
So this is pretty close to where, if you read their filings, where they claim that they're going to build a siding over here on the east side of Washington.
That is correct, yes.
Yeah, 255 is what they have listed as the location for the new siding.
Yeah, and this milepost here is about 255.8. So I'm assuming just east of this crossing and around the curve there is an excellent place. There's no public crossings, and it's pretty flat for the most part.
Yep. It'll make for some nice shots if they really do make a siding there and they park trains for meets. Be an excellent spot for some shots for some photography to be done.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised then they get rid of Cotter since it's so short and it's on a hill there for going south or westbound.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a festive shot here in downtown Bellevue. This is the local heading south. The city's all decked out for Christmas here. This was taken last December.
Didn't have any snow that year either.
No. December has been pretty devoid of snow lately. We're going to go up on the Iowa Interstate now. This is east of Welton. This was the CBBI with the SD38 leading, and from what I understand, a couple of them have been sent back to South Amana to get reactivated, so that's good news.
I was just going to bring that up. The 153 is one of them, and the 152 also, that they've been returned to service.
They sure sound good when they're working hard.
Yeah.
Rock Island Heritage Unit on BICB going by the Grinnell Depot.
The only thing you're missing is the Rock Island sign on the side of the depot, but that's been gone for years.
Yeah. Comes a eastbound by the depot at Iowa City. This was a South Amana Newton turn, eastbound going by the grain bins at Brooklyn. A great eastbound morning shot.
Operationally kind of hard to come by, but yes, excellent work.
Yeah. Yep, usually I think the eastbound usually goes through there about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, but if you can catch an extra like this, it works out pretty well.
Yeah.
eastbound CBBI at Downey, shot from the north side of the track.
I don't think that elevator's seen a carload of anhydrous in quite a while.
Yeah, if you look really close to the red board is down there just east of that crossing, so I don't think if the track's even in service anymore.
Yeah.
We're gonna jump up on the CN now. This is the former Beth siding location just east of Winthrop. I think this was the 337. I think it used to run as a rural westbound in the daylight, but that's all since changed. But as a consolation, you can get 338 now almost every morning in decent light going east. But this was back about 5 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say the siding's been out for at least 2, maybe 3 years now.
Yeah. Still a great place to photograph.
Yeah, wooden overhead bridge is pretty nice.
It is. This is a CN westbound local out around Dunlap.
Yep, got the CNW double main right next to it.
Yep. CN westbound local at Mills Tower.
I believe these were some of the repurposed. That's a repurposed CNW-8 there as a leader.
Yep. And for a while there, they ran the Dubuque to Manchester local west to Manchester and back in the morning. And this was a couple years ago in March. It had a couple Grand Trunk GP9Rs for power, kind of a blast from the past.
Mm-hmm.
Out on the Bayard sub, just east of Templeton on the former Milwaukee main line. This was taken last September.
It really is kind of amazing to see some of the engineering that went into that. The high fill that they're going over.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell that a lot of money went into this at one time.
Yeah, it's sad that east of Bayard, it's pretty well gone all the way to Green Island, but at least west of Bayard, at least they maintained it.
Yeah, even the little chunks we had here in Cedar Rapids are starting to disappear. Also, they've cut it all the way back to just a short section from Louisa to Council Street now.
Mm. And this is the end of the Bayard sub on the east side of Bayard. The local is running around his train to go back west, and you can definitely see the end of the track and where the main line continued on going east.
Yeah, Perry wasn't too far out of the photo there.
Yeah, I guess within 25, 30 miles.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go over to Illinois now on the Mendota sub. This is just north or east of Watauga. This is the Quincy Amtrak first thing in the morning.
Some classic CB&Q searchlights there on the overhead bridge.
Yep, pretty much every signal was up on a bridge between Aurora and Galesburg, and that was nice while it lasted.
Yep.
Of course, too, back in the day, they had a heck of a pole line, and this lasted up till about 10 years ago from Mendota east. Kind of a forgotten art of the railroad.
Yes.
This is Bushnell, Illinois, where the Keokuk Junction crosses the BNSF.
Yes, the former now Keokuk Junction F units also.
Yes, I think everything in this photograph except for the tracks are gone or replaced.
Uh-huh.
This was taken last September. Let's see. Scioto, Illinois.
Okay.
And this was taken about 2 weeks before they brought in some new power to operate between Peoria and La Harpe. And now they have a couple new genset looking like critters operating on this line. So the Jeep 20s are no more on this segment. Last December, this is between La Harpe and Keokuk. Very last light of the day, just south of La Harpe and westbound heading back to Keokuk.
Really illuminates the Santa Fe colors nicely also in that last light.
Yeah. You can see the sun projecting the shadow of the lead locomotive's exhaust too through the field, which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
December is a beautiful time to go out and shoot. You got that very low, crisp light. And this is just west of Good Hope. Got the 3 Jeep 20s and the 3 F units making for a real nice consist heading west towards La Harpe. Now we're over at Cortland, Illinois on the former CNW. This is back in 2016. The searchlights are still there. The original pole line was there. And today, new signals are up and pole line's gone and looks more like a typical modern day shot now.
Yeah, I don't know if there are any of those CNW style searchlights that remain on the Geneva side now.
Yeah, I think the only place they're left is Nelson, and from pictures I've seen, there's progress going on as we speak. So
yeah, to cut those over.
Well, they had part of the new signal bridge up there at East Nelson, and you could see where they had new cables and stuff or conduit buried there. So, I mean, the end is near.
Right.
Shabana down on the CNI. Definitely tell it's an old CB&Q heritage.
Yes.
Now we're going to go over on the midline of Mid-America, Illinois Central over at Danforth.
This would
right
be
behind
the,
him.
is that the Saluki? Is that what they call that?
It is. Yep.
Yeah.
And right behind him was this loaded rock train. Some nice conventional cabs.
Yeah.
Now we're up on the BNSF. I believe it's the Aurora sub north of Prairie du Chien, kind of a foggy morning in the fall. Loaded oil train. South or eastbound at DeSoto. Eastbound at Genoa. It was kind of neat back in the ABS days.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this this was they would have still been writing track warrants at this time.
Yep. Yeah, you could hear eastbounds leave La Crosse up there. They get a warrant.
Yeah.
Or if they're running against the current, you could watch the signals drop yellow and then down red.
Uh-huh.
Now we're in Duran, Michigan, here in Southern, next being C30-7.
There are very few examples of those that have survived.
Yeah, I think the LS&I in northern Michigan still has some C30s and even a U30C that's still active.
Yeah.
This is a CN westbound coming off the Holly sub, going by the real nice restored depot in Duran, Michigan. And here's the here in Southern heading west back towards Bay City.
So I'll admit I'm not familiar with it. These pot signals are what's the heritage of this line?
This is kind of a share. They're actually on former Grand Trunk Western trackage here, and they're going back to their own railroad just west of here.
Okay.
This is the Adrian and Blissfield Railroad in Blissfield, Michigan. I believe this is the next New York Central line.
That concrete milepost down there.
Mm-hmm.
Something you usually think of with the CGW in Iowa. Those concrete mileposts are pretty rare.
Yeah. We're going to jump down to LaGrange, Kentucky, where they street run. One of the store owners saw me out watching trains, and he invited me up into his business second story to take a picture of a train. I thought was super nice. I thought it came out real well.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely a place everybody should visit once. XLNN, and this is another eastbound that just came through downtown and about ready to knock down the signal here. A little bit more street running in Warsaw, Indiana. This is the line that comes out of Elkhart and goes down, I believe, to Marion. They call this the Marion branch.
Yep. I love the no left turn sign too. That's
kind of a classic signal. And just north of Warsaw, little town of Leesburg. These have since been replaced, but some old Pennsylvania signals here guarding the north end of the siding. Now we're on the water level route just east of Toledo, Ohio, eastbound train nearing Millbury, Ohio.
Yep.
A little farther east on the water level, you can see Lake Erie in the background. This is Vermilion, Ohio. Picture taken this June. Former nickel plate main line. This is west of Fostoria, Ohio. Little town called Mortimer.
So this is interesting. That signal bridge that's on the right side there is not even really a signal bridge, but the I guess I don't even know the correct term for it. But that would have been replaced with the searchlights at some point.
They called this a bracket signal. And this was shortly replaced after this image was taken, and they just have the regular Vader signals there now.
Right. I think the bracket was actually built for semaphores when it would have first been put up. At some
Okay.
point, they upgraded it to the searchlights.
Okay. Yeah, back when I grew up there in Ohio, I remember these signals almost at every sighting, and luckily the North Judson Railroad Museum actually got one of these restored and is actually standing there at their museum along their main line, which is nice.
Wow.
And of course, everybody knows what the heritage of this railroad is, and this signal still stands in Deschler, Ohio. Deschler, Ohio is the crossroads of the B&O, and this is a train that just came off the east-west line and heading south towards Lima.
Okay. Yep, it's a classic CPLs there.
Yes. How much longer they will hold on, no one knows. This is the south end of Deschler.
That one looks almost brand new. Or repainted anyway.
Yeah, they're definitely being maintained. Now we're over on the former C&O between Toledo and Columbus. This is north of Fostoria at Longley, C&O east or southbound coming down. This is in Fostoria, just south of the Diamond. This is the west end of the center siding. This is a train that came off the B&O from Garrett, heading south towards Columbus.
All right.
This is a C&O south or eastbound at Cary, Ohio, going through the Onion Farm crossover. And another C&O eastbound at Upper Sandusky, Ohio. Another C&O eastbound at Upper Sandusky, crossing Old Route 30. Definitely tell the heritage of this railroad, and got a little CP run-through power. This is actually the CF&E today, which is a former Pennsylvania main line. I think CSX owns it, CF&E leases it, and NS dispatches it. And they used to have NS used to run loaded oil trains over this route, which they don't anymore. There's no scheduled traffic on this line right now, except for locals and grain. But this is just west of Dola, Ohio.
They actually decommissioned the signaling system, or has it been replaced and they have just the newer signals somewhere else?
These have been decommissioned since, I'm going to say the late 80s or early 90s, somewhere in there.
All right.
But this used to be the Pennsylvania mainline double track ABS.
Right.
A little farther east, this is a CF&E westbound at Dunkirk, Ohio, crossing the CSX Toledo branch. CF&E westbound at Upper Sandusky, Ohio.
Boxcar Tavern. I love it.
Yeah. This is even farther east on the Pennsylvania. This is at Lyon, Ohio. They ran a little bit more traffic on this former Pennsy line east of Bucyrus or Colson. And this is an eastbound diverting onto the westbound track at East Crest.
You got a leased executive Mac there also, second out.
Yep. CSX eastbound at Lyon, Ohio, going through, I believe they call this CP Burt. This is where the Erie Lackawanna used to cross once upon a time. This is on a former Big Four trackage.
Looks like you got new signals bridges going up there too.
Yep. A little closer to home, we're down back on the Santa Fe around New Boston. This is a ethanol train coming up out of the Mississippi River Valley. Kind of a treat to get something besides an intermodal train.
Yeah.
Eastbound at La Plata.
More of that Santa Fe signaling.
Yep. It's all gone now. Eastbound at West Bering. Westbound at West Ethel.
You know, it does remind you too, with the loss of all the ATCS coverage on the Santa Fe and on the CB&Q, that it, you know, this is part of it, right? They're upgrading their signals, and that's how we lost the ATCS coverage, and that's how we lost all the cantilevers and overhead bridges too.
Mm-hmm. Westbound, actually downtown Kansas City.
Looks like wintertime, or as much as they can call it that in Kansas City.
If I remember right, this was actually in February.
I'm pretty sure that amount of snow that you had there on the ground would have caused everybody in Kansas City to stop going to work for one day.
Probably. Pretty much tells a story right here, just 2 miles from Kansas City.
Yep.
I'm not sure. That might be an ex-CGW mile marker. I'm not sure on that, but for some reason I think it is.
Okay.
We're going to jump out into eastern Nebraska now. This is just east of Columbus, back in the classic ABS signal days. Now this is all bi-directional CTC. Matter of fact, if you look real closely, you can see the new signals down there and off, turned to the side.
Yeah, just waiting to get cut over.
Yep. Cozad, Nebraska on the UP triple track. UP eastbound just west of Bruley, Nebraska. Some kind of a wind blade tower train.
Yeah.
Eastbound pulling hard out of Cheyenne, coming up Archer Hill.
That pipe car head out is kind of unique. It almost looks like a mixed freight kind of a flat car load.
Yeah. UP eastbound at Ty Siding. UP westbound leaving Rawlins. One thing when you go out west here, there's not a lot of track access. There's not many public grade crossings out this way.
Yeah, you have to be willing to hike a little bit to get some of the shots.
Yeah. Now we're on the former Rock Island, operated by Kyle today, just east of Stratton, Colorado.
Tell somebody's borrowed the wiring out of the backs of the signals there.
Yeah. I bet they've been defunct for probably 30 years at least. There's a westbound going by the same set of signals a couple days later. Same train going by the depot and another set of signals there at Stratton, Colorado. This was taken in 2019.
So is that one of the Utah Railway Morrison Knutson engines that's there second out?
Yeah, that is correct. Colorado, right on the Kansas-Colorado border, eastbound Kyle.
I don't think anybody put too much thought into naming the town.
No. Some neat area out there, especially, get the elevators in the photographs, and it's an easy chase. Most of it's 25, if not 10-mile-an-hour track.
Yep. Mostly grain hauling operation out there.
For the most part, they do interchange with the UP out at Lyon. I don't know. There's a little bit of overhead traffic.
Okay.
This is out just east of Satanta, Kansas, the Cimarron Valley. A friend and I went out and spent a little time shooting them, and it's one of those things I kick myself. We only shot this train like 1 or 2 times, and I wish we would have stayed with it all day with the classic Jeep 30s and 35s, but I guess we had other places we wanted to go. But here's one good example we got out there. This is old Santa Fe trackage between Dodge City, and then it went down to Satanta, Kansas.
Yeah, those Jeep 30s are a pretty rare bird too.
They are. I believe that's an ex Rio Grande. Yeah, thunderstorm going on down here. I don't know if you hear the thunder or not.
A little bit in the background there, yep.
Kind of odd for December. This is on the Rock Island Golden State route. This is just north of Pratt. Still had the old Rock Island signals back at this point, and this is an eastbound on the Golden State route. Scott City, Kansas. This is the old Mopac line where it crosses a Santa Fe branch. Used to be an ABS signaled at the time, but now the K&O just operates the whole kit and caboodle. And this is on the east side of Scott City. The train's just tied down for the weekend. Now we're going to go up to North Dakota. Aberdeen Line Junction, Red River Valley Western has trackage rights on the BNSF from Breckenridge, Minnesota, down to, this is where it connects or crosses the Canadian Pacific, and they get on the Canadian Pacific and head west to Hankinson. And this is on the BNSF. I believe it's the Wilmer sub, runs from Wilmer up to Fargo.
Got a lot of code line there in the background too.
Yeah, I think they still use it, believe it or not.
Code line and searchlight signals. Yep.
Yeah. This is the DM&E former Alco line here in South Dakota.
That CITX leaser that ran around the IC&E DM&E for quite a few years. That 3088. It had a couple of
Yeah,
sisters that ran around with it too.
yeah, I was never fond of having one of those on the point. They just weren't very colorful and just wasn't much to take pictures of. This is just west of Huron on the DM&E Alco line. This is the distant approach for the north-south BNSF line. And this is the BNSF train making a delivery to the DM&E just west of Woolsey, South Dakota.
You can see the difference in elevation of the two grades pretty easy there too.
Yeah. I don't think they've ran a weed sprayer for a while. This is a ex main line. This is Amenia, North Dakota. Used to be a main line that ran north out of Castleton up north, and they only come down to this town to serve an elevator now. And we happen to catch a local coming down the branch here, and here he is going by the station sign. He had a few maintenance away cars, I believe, this day.
But no weed sprayer.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
Dump the rock if you can tell where the tracks are.
Yeah, the elevator might be kind of seasonal. If I remember right, this looked like this was the first train down here in weeks, if not a month, just looking at the flangeways and the crossing.
Yeah. I mean, the weeds are seasonal too, but we won't ask any questions about that.
Yeah. This is the Valley City, North Dakota. BNSF westbound going across the high bridge. And if you look to the right, bottom right of the frame, you can see where the CP line goes underneath the bridge.
Is an impressive structure.
It is. Fort Collins, Colorado, Mason Street. This is a northbound local going down the middle of the street. They've since made medians now where the track's not truly in the street anymore except at the crossings. But this was back probably 12, 13 years ago when it was true street running. Here's a train coming the other way through downtown Fort Collins. Here's a G&W Railroad out of Windsor, Colorado, switching a lumber mill. Eastbound Denver, Chicago, coming across the Colorado state line just east of Ray, Colorado on the former CB&Q. And luckily, due a crossing being out, we could catch up to it again. Looks like a grain bin collapsed and knocked out the crossing signal, say that stop protect. So we had another shot of them anyway.
That's a pretty impressive failure right there.
Yeah. Glad it wasn't there when it happened.
Yeah, no kidding.
Sunset at Brush, Colorado, through the old CB&Q signals. Now we're on the Moffett Tunnel line, east of Glenwood Springs. Coming out of Glenwood Canyon, Glenwood Springs, Colorado. Amtrak number 6, just east of Glenwood Springs.
Really is an amazing area down there.
It is. Not a lot of traffic by any means, but if you do get something, you can definitely followed along. Gorgeous scenery, and it definitely took a lot of engineering to build this railroad through the Glenwood Canyon area.
Yeah. This one of the haulage or trackage right train, whatever they are that run through here.
Yeah. I think BNSF has one freight each way a day through their trackage rights.
Yeah.
It might be, was it Provo, Denver, maybe, or I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know they got rights through there because of the Southern Pacific merger. Yep.
Good. Here's an eastbound coal train at Rifle, Colorado.
Looks like the older steel hoppers too, the UP system hoppers.
Yeah, they had a lot of mixed bag of the Mopac, CNW, and etc. Silverton, Colorado. Definitely a neat place to visit and kind of a blast of the past. And there they are in action somewhere between Silverton and Durango. My friend and I, we had to walk back in here. Somerset, Colorado. This is around the Delta Montrose area, one of those fingers that branches that goes south out of Grand Junction. Now we're on the BNSF Raton line. This is Watrous, New Mexico. Amtrak number 3.
I don't think that these semaphores aren't long for the world either.
This particular set has been retired, I do know.
Right. The ones that are remaining are those Santa Fe semaphores that are still in service, I think are all scheduled to be retired this coming year.
Yeah. This is on Raton Pass, number 3. Another set on the Raton Pass. And set just south of Las Vegas, New Mexico. I do believe this set is still there today.
Yep.
On the Transcon Shattuck, Oklahoma. This is Canadian Texas on the Transcon. This is the Albo Canyon area on the Transcon eastbound freight.
Got some distortion from the engine exhaust there, working their way up grade.
Yeah. Jackrabbit, Arizona. If you notice, the last unit in the consist is an IC and ESD 40.
Yep. Was that on its way to final disposition there? Is that why it was?
No, this is actually an eastbound. I think they were probably sending them home. So this was definitely in the end of the IC and E days.
Okay.
Crookton, Arizona. This is on the beginning of the Crookton cutoff. This is off the old Route 66 bridge. Seligman, Arizona.
One of those spots you can just see miles and miles in each direction.
I know. I would love to get one of the super stack trains here. That'd be a heck of a picture.
Yeah.
It going up and over hills there. Topic, Arizona, going across I believe, the Colorado River. Ludlow, California. Nice ace on a stack train, kind of unusual leader. Last
Yeah.
light of the day. Coming down Cajon Pass Hill.
Like seeing the fallen flag heritage there in the foreground too.
Yep. The Apache Railway leaving Holbrook, Arizona.
Man, I know those Alcos are famous for it, but that is just an amazing amount of black smoke that their exhaust they're pushing out.
Yeah. Very, very classic operation out there. Copper Basin Railway. This is near Kearney, Arizona. Kind of a seldom seen photograph railroad.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever seen a photo of this before. Is this this is a rock hauling operation?
Yeah. This is near Vail, Arizona. This is, I believe, the Lordsburg sub east of Tucson. Now on the Golden State route at Shawmut, Arizona, the old SP.
Mm-hmm.
Westbound at Shawmut, the old SP signals. Shawmut, Arizona.
Yeah, would you have guessed that we're out in the desert here?
Yeah. It's a nice, tranquil place to watch trains. I just definitely don't go in the summer.
Yeah.
The desert's kind of blooming and the temperatures are just starting to moderate. This is Welton, Arizona. Very first light of the day. This is out in the dome, just out in Arizona. Yuma, Arizona, coming across the river. I believe it's the Colorado River.
Some foreign leaders to those parts.
Yeah. The Arizona, California, coming across the Colorado River at Parker, Arizona. And Tehachapi. And that is it.
All right. Well, that's a great place to end. Thank you, Russ, for your presentation. It's been very enjoyable, and we will look forward to getting you back on the program here again sometime in the future. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Thank you for having me.
thank you. And just so that everybody knows, we are going to be having a February show, which is going to be Giles Typin from Cedar Rapids, and he is going to be doing an Iowa Interstate program for us. And then we're going to do a March show, which is going to be from the Larry Anglin archives again also. So we have that to look forward to. So thank you, Russ. And everyone, I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and enjoy this 2022 as it unfolds. So have a good night.